Hello, my name's Matt. I'm one of the trainers for CirclePOS. I'm also a bookseller myself and have managed stores for over 15 years. I've managed group stores and stores in different locations. I've also experienced going through the migration process myself. In this series of videos, we'll be going through the training process step by step. So the first subject we're going to cover is category management. So category management has two roles. It not only defines where product lives within the store, it also defines where it lives on your public facing website. So to access Category Manager, we simply go to our public facing CircleSoft site that you have just created, and we will log in using the username and password that you just set up. Once we're logged in, we'll have access to a drop down here on the right hand side. We can click that and choose Category Manager. So you'll find this has already got a whole bunch of categories set up and ready to go. This is a nice base to work from. You may have some more specific categories that you'd like to have in your store, and that's absolutely fine to do. Category management system is store specific to you. So you can be as broad with your categories or as specific as you need to be. My advice for new stores would be not to get bogged down in this too much. Start with a good category management style with enough detail in there if needed. So the system's quite straightforward here. To add a new category, we can simply start typing that category's name here. And we can either decide whether we would like this category to be a parent category or we'd like it to be a subcategory. So if we're choosing it to be a parent category, we can simply choose add category, and that will now add that into our system. If I scroll down here to new category, I can see that new category has been added. It's bold, showing that it is a parent category. However, if we wanted to add a category to be a subcategory, we can simply type that in and choose a parent category for it to live underneath. So I'm going to choose new category, which I just set up, and select add category. If I scroll back down to new category, there we go. We have new category as the parent category and new category sub as a subcategory of new category. Now, if for some reason we wanted to change that, you can edit categories at any time just by clicking on the name. And you'll see here that the parent is set to new category. If I wish to change that, I can select another category from this drop down and save it. And you'll see that I have now moved that subcategory under gifts. Now, if I wanted to remove that category completely, there is a tick box here on the right hand side, and I can go all the way down to the bottom of my list here and delete selected. It will make me confirm this, and when I OK that category has now disappeared. It doesn't exist anymore. Now back to my category that I still have here, new category. I also have an option in there to show to public or hide from public. Now you may have products that you do not wish to display on your public facing website. They might be smaller impulse type items or items that you're unable to get images and descriptions for, or just generally things you don't want to sell online. You can hide products from public by category, so every item within that category will be hidden. You can also do this on an individual basis as well, but it's handy for gift cards, things like that, to be hidden from the general public. So if we hide that from public and press save and scroll back down to new category, we can see there that it is now hidden. It's still accessible to us and our staff within the back office, we can still see any products that are in that category. We can do any sort of inventory management that we need to do. However, the public can just simply not see this on our website. The other options that we have within category management are sorting options here on the right hand side. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see the default sorting options we've got. So a lot of stores tend to use stock on hand. What this means is on your public facing website, when a customer is browsing a particular category, the items that you have the most of will be the first items that they see on that list. You can override that on an individual basis and promote certain items, but the idea being that as a default, those items that you have the most of are the ones you want your customers to see straight away. Now that may not suit you. The drop down here has a couple of other options in there. We have reading level, series, date added, title, event date, and category's name. Just depends on the product really. I think probably the most useful one is stock on hand and then maybe title to do it alphabetically. You'll see here there's sorting level 1 and then sorting level 2. So once it's gone through stock on hand, then it will start to look at the title in this situation. If you wanted to change that on an individual basis, the drop downs are exactly the same here on the right hand side. So you may have a particular product that displays better when it's done by title over quantity. You may select title there. That'll override that just for that particular item. So the other thing you'll notice here is we do have a highlight arrow here. Now you'll notice that on our website, new releases is first and foremost. It has been highlighted. It is above this line. It is something that we want our customers to see as soon as they come to our website. To highlight an item, all you need to do is press that arrow and it will push that above that line. Now, automatically it will do this alphabetically, but we do have the ability here to rank these items as well. So at the moment I have new releases set as number 1. If I wanted to change that, I could change new releases to number 5 and I could change art history to number 1. And I can go down the bottom of my list again, press save, and now we'll see that art history is number 1, new releases is at the end of that list there. So you have the ability to control this. If you choose to remove art history from one of the highlighted categories, and you will be doing this seasonally, you'll be adding Christmas books, Father's Day, Mother's Day categories up there as you see fit, you simply press the arrow and that will drop that back down to its appropriate section down there. Overall, the category management system is straightforward and gives booksellers the ability to control where their inventory is displayed online and in their store. It is a fluid system that you will always be going back into. You will always be adding and removing categories. You will bring new products into your store and you'll wish to have a category for them. It is advised that every item that you bring in your store has a category attributed to it. My advice to new stores is not to get too bogged down in the category management setup. Going with a more basic category structure and building on that as the store grows is probably the best way to do it. To access our site contacts, we log into our back office. To do that, we go to our public facing website again, our CircleSoft site, and we log in. From the drop down in the top right hand corner, we select back office. This will open up a new tab. To access site contacts, it is under settings, site contacts. From here, all of your store's information will be displayed. It is important to get all of this correct, as it will be displayed not only on your purchase orders to suppliers, it will also be displayed on your invoices to account sales. We'll see here that some of our fields have requirements that you must fill in. However, I would advise stores fill in just about every single one. When you've correctly filled in all the information, you simply press save. The next information that we're required to enter into our back office is our distributor account information. The Circle community shares distributor information that's publicly made available, but we're still required to enter in our account details so that we can send off purchase orders. Adding our distributor account information is done in the back office under Agencies and Distributors, Distributor and Agency. From here, you'll be able to search for and find most distributors that you're going to have to enter in information for. I'm going to choose one here, United Book Distributors. I select them from the drop down and press go. It'll list all distributors with the word United in them, obviously. The one that we're most interested in is, if I scroll over to the right hand side, is the official supplier. You can have as many different distributors as you need to, but we're really only interested in the official supplier. So to enter our information on the right hand side, there's an edit box here. It is a little pen and paper. Click on that. First, we can see the community information, and it does say change with care. You'll find that most of this information never changes. It's certainly not something that happens often. Things like email addresses and phone numbers for suppliers, it really doesn't change. What we're interested in adding to is our local shop information. Now, this is private to you. It is certainly not shared amongst the community. The main thing that we need to enter in here is our shop account number. Now, this would have been supplied to you when you set up your account with this distributor. So you can simply enter in the account number there. Now, if you do get a standard discount from that supplier, you are welcome to enter that in here. It's not required. You certainly don't have to do that. And a lot of the suppliers tend to not give you a standard discount. Minimum order. Now, this might be good information to put in as you are setting up new accounts. It's nice to have that there as a reference. It will be displayed in your purchase order card as well. Circle will not stop you sending a purchase order that doesn't reach the minimum, but it is nice to have that information in front of you. Standard markup. Look, this isn't something that is super relevant to booksellers. You might find with non-book items there is a standard markup, and it might be worth putting that in there as well. Shop notes. Might be worth putting in perhaps the rep's name and phone number who you initially set your account up with. Once again, this is all private information, so no one else can see it. Once you're happy with the information that you've entered, you simply press save. And you will go through this process with every single supplier that you have set up accounts for. Now, if you do happen to find a supplier that's not in here, there are thousands of them, but if you do happen to find one that's not in here, you are always welcome to add it into the community. So by typing create new, you can select that, and we can just see a blank screen here, essentially, and we go through the process of filling in all the information. So trading name, username, that will be automatically filled. You're welcome to change it if you want, but it will be automatically filled by the trading name. Email, phone numbers, any sort of addresses. I would recommend getting as much information as possible. This is going out to the community, so it's important that the information is correct. Once you have entered all of that information, you may want to enter in your account number information as well at the same time. And you simply press create. That supplier is now within the community, and your information has been stored locally for your supplier account information. The next part of information that we need to enter in is our staff details. We would have already created a staff member or manager when we were setting our site up, but now it's time to add in any other staff members that you might have. So all staff management is done through the back office. Under the staff tab, to create a new staff member, we select staff setup. From here, you'll see that there are some required fields, first and last name. The username will auto-fill with those two. You may also notice that the password field has a password in it. That would be from your browser having a saved password for your CircleSoft site. You probably don't need to set a staff password at this point. You could allow them to do it for themselves. If you did want to set a password, it would just be a matter of entering one and entering it again at the re-enter. I'm just going to delete that one and move down. You can have a set discount for staff members. Just keep in mind that it is an automatic discount and it will be applied across the board on all products. So there may be certain product lines that you wish to give a greater or smaller discount on to staff members. If you are going to have variables with your discounts, I would probably recommend leaving this blank. Credit limit, generally speaking, you don't allow your staff members to have credit limit. Now, if you do have those variable discounts on certain items, I would probably enter them in as POS notes. So you might have 15% staff discount on books, but you might only apply a 10% discount to non-book items. I would clearly type that in here and that will be displayed on the POS. It's my advice that all items that are being sold to a staff member should be sold under their name. It just enables the manager when you're going through your sales history to see why discounts were applied on certain things. Loyalty enabled, generally speaking, if you are using the loyalty system, you're probably not going to want your staff members to accrue loyalty points. So I would recommend unticking that box. Payment terms and invoice type, probably not relevant to a staff member. Now, there is some other information here, shipping address. Look, you probably don't need to enter that in for staff members, but you are more than welcome to. You can also have some internal notes here as well. Contact details. At the bare minimum, I would recommend having their email and phone number. Their email is useful if you wanted them to log in and set their password themselves. That would be how they would do it. And we can also see down the bottom here, we have the difference between a staff member and a manager. Now, we have the ability to restrict certain reporting features that staff members get. It's not something that's necessary. There's absolutely nothing that changes with how they can do their job. They're still able to do all the inventory management side of things. However, there's just certain reports that you may not wish them to have access to. If you are planning on doing that, I would recommend leaving them set as a staff member. You just simply press create when you've entered all the information correctly. And if we go under our staff tab again, we can see the restrict staff option here. And you can see here just a list of reports that we can stop them being able to see. They just won't be visible for them to access. So there might be things where you don't wish them to see the monthly sales of the business, etc. So you can certainly implement that if you need to. Now, we would recommend that all staff members log in to do any sort of inventory management in the back office. That is the best use of the system because Circle keeps a record of who did what and when. So it's just nice to be able to go back in and see why a product was removed or a product's inventory number was dropped for any particular reason. So that's why we would recommend that all staff have their own logins. Now we'll be downloading the point of sale and also setting it up. This is a really good time for stores to make sure that they have all the appropriate hardware and that everything is working correctly. Now I'm going to go through the process of downloading and setting up POS. So you can download POS at any time from the back office. It's under the POS tab. We just have download POS here. As soon as we click on that, it'll open up a brand new tab, which will take us to the changelog. This is where we can find the link to download the POS version that we're interested in. Unless you're told otherwise, I would think most of the time stable version is the one we should be looking for. So it just says download here, and that will open up a Google Drive, which gives us two options. One being for Mac and the other one being for Windows. I'm on a Windows machine here, so I'm going to right click on that and choose download. This is common. It's just because it's a larger file and it cannot do a virus scan for it. I'm going to download that anyway. So now all we need to do is find the zip file that we've downloaded and extract the files. So I'm going to extract them into this folder and Once that has extracted everything, we should be able to open up the directory, find the CirclePOS exe, and run that. So when we log into the POS for the first time, none of the information will be there. We'll be required to put everything in. So the username and password would have been supplied to you when your website was created, and the site URL will be also included in that email. So once you have entered in all of the correct information here, username, password, and site address, you simply press OK. And that will open up the POS for you. Now that the POS has been downloaded, set up, and we've logged in, we can now go through the process of some basic POS transactions. This will also give us a chance to have a look at non-tracked items as well. Once our POS is installed, we can start moving through to some basic transactions. So the first transaction that we'll put through is a simple card transaction. This would be when someone comes into your store and you simply scan the product. As soon as you have scanned it, it will automatically drop into the POS window. We can see that we have one of these in stock and the customer is purchasing one of them. We can see the recommended or regular price of that book. We can also see the sale price and the total. From here, it would be a matter of us choosing the payment type that we're going to use. So the payment type we'll choose is card. It would just be a matter of confirming that by hitting enter. Now, if you have an integrated FPOS terminal, this is the point where it would feed that information to it. If not, if you're using a standalone terminal, this is the point where you would key in that amount and hand that over to your customer. Once that transaction has gone through, to finalize it, all you need to do is hit the post button down here in the bottom right hand corner, or as you'll notice, there is spacebar as well. That is the fastest way to do it. You just simply hit spacebar. That will kick open your cash drawer and spit out a receipt on your receipt printer. That is the most basic transaction that you would have come in. The other transaction that you would have would be a cash sale. That would be a matter of choosing the cash option as the payment type and entering in the amount of cash has been handed over to you by the customer. So in this circumstance, I'm going to say that they handed me a $50 note and I hit enter. Straight away, as soon as I've entered that in as the tendered amount, it's automatically worked out the change for me, and I'm able to finalize that transaction by hitting spacebar. That will kick open the cash drawer. All of that information we printed onto the receipt as well. So obviously the item, but also the amount tendered and the change amount will be on the receipt as well. There's of course one more type of transaction that may come across the counter, and that's one where a customer wants to do a partial payment of something. So they might come in to buy both of these books, but choose to give you cash for partial payment, leaving, in this circumstance, $9.98 owing. So they may wish to pay the rest of it on a card payment. It's just a matter of choosing that as the option. Card payments will automatically autofill, which is nice. All you need to do from here is simply hit spacebar to finalize the transaction. Once you've successfully downloaded POS and set up your receipt printer, you'll want to make sure that your receipt printer is printing a correct header and footer for your receipts. So all of that information can be found under POS settings. So normally you would place your store's information in the header part, and you would edit the footer to perhaps reflect your returns policy. So we also have the ability to do non-tracked items. So these are usually items that do not have barcodes. They may be items that aren't ordered or reordered in the traditional sense. Might be something that perhaps a rep from the company comes out and tops up a stand for you, or you simply do an order with an order form as opposed to sending off a purchase order. There are also items that you're not too concerned about the sales history for either. You essentially need them to be able to go through your register, take payment, the customer to be able to see that payment has been made on a receipt, but you really don't need in-depth sales history on these items. All of our non-tracked items are found in POS under non-tracked items. Now, your system will probably have a few of them already. These are store specific to you, so you are more than welcome to add as many or remove ones that you don't use. Just as a suggestion, I think all stores should probably have one in there for shipping or freight, on the chance that you do have to put an order through over the phone. Things like cards are always a good option too. They may not have barcodes on them. They may not be ordered in the traditional way, and you just need to make them go through your till. So I'll add a non-tracked item here and then we'll use one. So I can see here that I have card 2 for $2 cards and card 5 for $5 cards. What I might do is add one in here for card 4. Now this will be for a $4 card. I can put a cost in here if I want to. It's not required though. I'm going to say that the cost of these is $2. I'm going to say that the card itself is $4 for both its regular price and sale price. You may not want to allow your customers to accrue loyalty on these items. That's entirely up to you. By default, it will be ticked, but you can certainly untick that as you're going through. Now, predominantly, these items probably don't need a category because they're not something that you would ideally display on your website either. So you're fine to just have them listed as a no category item if that suits you. Or you may want to give them their own category and have that set to not display on your public website. All we have to do here is add this item in, and I now have card 4 as a $4 card in our system. So now back in the POS, we can start to use those non-tracked items. So a customer might bring up a book that they want, and they may also want to buy some of those $4 cards. So from here, all we need to do, instead of scanning a barcode, is simply type in card 4. And you'll see here it's automatically loaded up the information there for $4 cards. I can press enter there, and that will bring that into our POS system. I have the book that I scanned and my $4 cards. From here, this simply becomes a normal transaction. We accept a payment type and accept the form of payment in which the customer is going to pay for these items. The final thing we'll cover is till cash up. This is our end of day process. It's where all of our payment types and everything are recorded. If you're integrating with Xero, this is where all of your information will be pushed forward onto the Xero system. And it's how we keep track of what our store is taking day to day. So till cash up is done within the back office. It is under our POS tab, till cash up. So our start time and end time are based on start time is when we finish doing our till cash up the previous session, and our end time is when we open this page. You normally would not need to change this cash up period unless you were going to fix an error or change something that you had done previously. Normally you would simply go into this page and allow those numbers to be set for you. So the first task that we have is to collect all of the cash in which we're going to bank. Your float is not relevant in this situation. There is nowhere to record your float information. So whether you have a set float or a variable float, that makes no difference in this process. What we're simply doing now is collecting the money that we're going to bank. That's actually going to be represented as cash. So we can see down the bottom here, we have our cash line and our expected column. Expected here is $35, and I haven't entered any data yet, so there's a variance of $35 here. It says negative 35. So what I would be doing would be confirming that yes, I do have $35 to bank in this situation. So I'm going to say there is one $20 note, one $10 note, and one $5 note, giving me a total of 35, saying that I'm banking that amount, and now there is no variance. So this cash amount here is based on how many times we have accepted cash payments at the till during our period of trade here. So there may be a variance here that can be explained with a card amount or something like that, but most of the time what we're doing is we're just simply confirming here's what's on the screen. So our card payment here, this number is obtained usually from a shift total or a settlement or some sort of reporting feature that your POS terminal has. So you would print off that or display that on the screen and simply confirm the amount here. And you can see here that there is no longer a variance here at all. There is also no longer a remaining variance. Now, the boxes that I didn't mention here were our plus boxes. So they're not used as often as they used to be. If you are planning on taking petty cash out of your register for any particular reason, you will need to record it here. Same with pre-banked. If you're planning on taking any cash out of your register to bank during the day, that is where you would put this amount. Also wages, if you plan on paying staff out of the till, you would need to record that information somewhere, and this is where you would do that. Not a lot of stores still use these boxes here, but they are still here. What we've focused on here is simply recording what we've taken and confirming that within Circle. So I've confirmed that I have taken $35 cash, and I have confirmed that I have taken $43.96 in card payments. Now, if I had any other payment types in here, whether they be online or different type of card payments, anything that I had chosen to set up during my payment types, this is where they'd be listed, and I would have to confirm that I'd accepted payment on them. If you're happy with everything that we can see here on the screen, you can simply press the bank button. So you'll be asked to confirm this, and as soon as you have confirmed it, it will simply lodge this into your what we refer to as our cash up report, and we can see all of our takings. We can see if there was any variance, anything that we need to investigate, but we're able to see what we took during this time period. So if for some reason you needed to go back in and change some of this information, there is always the ability here to drop all of this info and redo it. So it just gives you the option to perhaps as the manager or owner to go back in and fix a mistake that may have been made. As soon as you press the drop button, it'll just clear it, and when we go back into Till Cash Up, everything can be set back to those times and we're ready to go again. It just gives you the ability to go back in and fix those mistakes to make sure that your takings are correct. So that concludes training session number 1. In this session, we covered category management, site contacts, distributor accounts, staff setup, POS download and setup, basic POS transactions, non-tracked items, and till cash up. Links will be added to this video if you do need to organize a training session with one of our trainers where we can answer any questions that you might have in real time.